I'm not usually on screen for Talking Tech. My name is Melanie Lytle. I'm the head of public services here at Madison. I am filling in for, I guess, Sean, I think, while he is out in Madison Village with Stan the Tech Van. So that I think they're probably finishing up, but you can see them every Thursday at Madison Village Outdoor Market. So we're starting out the evening with the shameless plug. Charley's getting his articles ready, and thank you to Morgan, who's behind the camera tonight. Usually when people are absent, I get to be behind the camera, so I think I was promoted, maybe? I'm not sure. So anyway, we are here to talk about all kinds of things technology related, and I'm assuming that Charley is leading off.
Kind of not. I mean, it just depends, because my cord is now trying to tie it around my arm.
Ooh, are you going to die by microphone?
Maybe.
Cool.
It'll be a first for me, and I'd rather not.
Yeah,
hopefully
we don't
have
really
that happen right now.
I would prefer you not to die on screen.
Yes.
I think could get us a lot of.
I think I'm going to start with a little bit of a fun one, but so we all know the good old classic game of Monopoly, right?
Yes.
The very fun friendship breaking game, right?
Absolutely, because it takes forever.
It also takes forever. Yes, I remember countless days where sometimes me and my dad would make ridiculous trade deals between, super weird stuff.
Oh, we just stopped playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done with this and just put it away. But anyway.
So the newer editions have changed a lot of the pieces around and everything else. Well, so what do you think won against a Tyrannosaurus Rex as a game piece?
They shouldn't have a Tyrannosaurus Rex as a game piece in Monopoly.
I know. Isn't that weird?
Yes. So what did they get rid of then?
They got rid of the T-Rex.
Okay, good, because it shouldn't have been there.
Yes. And the thimble has come back.
As it should.
Yes.
Although I typically played the shoe or the iron.
Okay.
I mean, but I had a friend who liked to play the thimble, but no, you should never have had a T-Rex in Monopoly.
So Hasbro typically every so often will do a vote for different game pieces for the iconic board game, and the T-Rex unfortunately got 30% of the votes and got booted out of the game, and the thimble had won 30% of the vote, thus coming back. So I'm guessing majority of the vote was only about 30% for the thimble, but it's nice to see the classic game piece come back.
Well, yeah.
From the reaches of ancient Monopoly games, I guess I could say.
Just be careful about that ancient thing, because I'm significantly older than you. And there was always a thimble in my Monopoly game.
Oh, no, trust me. I had thimbles in all my Monopoly games, too, because I had the older ones, too. So, trust me, it's fine.
Okay.
All right. What else do you got?
So, I wanted to start out with holograms. So, they're apparently... I wasn't paying... For those of you who maybe were following the Queen's Platinum Jubilee more carefully than I was, apparently there was a hologram queen in a carriage at one point. So people believed that she was on her way to attending an event, and in fact, it was a hologram. So apparently holograms are becoming more commonplace. So it's not just for Star Wars anymore. ABBA used holograms to replicate themselves. Maybe that's not the word I want. Show themselves from their 1970 concerts. And so if you go to a current ABBA concert, you can see them from the 1970s, which frankly just seems a little bit creepy. But so holograms are becoming more mainstream. So I'm sort of not sure how I feel about that.
I think it'd be kind of cool at some point. Instead of like video chatting over, well, I guess it still be considered video chat, but instead of it being a 2D picture on a phone, it's a 3D picture.
Yeah, but do you want, because their example was it's come farther than Princess Leia and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So,
yeah.
Do I really want one of my relatives popping up and like standing on the table talking to me or like giving me a message? And I could just call them on the phone. I don't know.
There's a future ahead of us. Have no clue how it's going to turn, but I think that would still be a really cool
all right.
feature at some point. Not now, maybe, but maybe near or far future.
Okay. I think I could give you that. I will give you that one.
All right. So Does anyone else have anything to share? Maybe Morgan behind the camera wants to share something? No? Okay. That's fine. I figured I'd try to see if Morgan wanted to share something with us.
She'll probably share if we really screw something up, or she disagrees with us.
Or there's a lot of dead air in between.
No, I have the list for shameless self-promotion.
That's a good point.
Because I was afraid that I might forget.
Say, me and Colt were very horrible about shameless self-promotion.
I thought that was why I was behind the camera, to do the same shameless self-promotion.
Yes. All right. Let's see. What do I have on my list of cool things? Not very cool things, but let's see.
I have a lot of things related to food. Admittedly, I have not had dinner yet, but I mean, I did well with lunch, so it's not like I'm super hungry.
Well, it's not like every stream somehow comes out to be talking about tacos or something.
Well, that did come up as something that popped up in the newsfeed, but I was waiting to see if you were going to do that. I don't think I've ever. I wasn't going to mention it.
I don't think I pulled it up, but so kind of staying on the other side of the pond, the EU has made USB-C mandatory for phones sold in the EU by autumn of 2024.
I wondered if you were going to talk about that. So I had that in my note at the very end.
Yes. So eventually Apple will have to say goodbye to the Lightning cable at some point, at least in the EU. Now, over here in the United States, they could still use the Lightning, but that would kind of make manufacturing the phone not super efficient at all. So hopefully, at some point, we'll all see Type-C on every Apple device known to man instead of the, I guess, not horrible Lightning cable, but in my true opinion, I never liked the Lightning cable. If I'm going to be completely honest here.
Well, they already tried to go to court when they had announced it a few years ago, so I will be interested to see if Apple is able to fight it in court.
Yeah.
And apparently they've made it very clear that you can still use the Lightning cable in the UK because as part of Brexit, they don't have to subscribe to that sort of thing. Because that's what I saw, is that you can still use a Lightning cable in the UK even after 2024. So,
I mean, the whole point for the EU doing what it's doing is supposedly to cut down on e-waste and the confusion of buying different cables and the small amount of, or how Apple kind of controls how they, put stuff out or third-party stuff comes out. So it usually has to be approved by Apple for you, or sometimes has to be approved by Apple to do most of that stuff. But I mean,
I saw that their argument was it was stifling creativity by forcing everyone to use USB-C. And I'm not quite sure that I followed that logic.
Yeah.
Because if everybody has to use the same cable, then you have unlimited creativity within that one platform.
Patrons, the public library's computers are going to shut down in 5 minutes. Please save your work and exit your program. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Margaret. Yeah, I can completely see what you're saying, because it helps with the fact that, like, me, I'm typically the guy that carries around every single cable known to man, because I know all my friends have different kinds of phone cables and such. But for people that only carry around the one that they typically use, which is only for a few, it makes it easier for people to have the right charger at the right time. And if, like here at the library, we still have issues with, some of the chargers not working and all that kind of stuff. And
absolutely.
Those little portable ones that we have too don't have the right connections and stuff on them. But other than that, I mean, it would just make charging a little bit easier for people.
I think so. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes, since this is still, almost exactly, or a little bit more than 2 years out. So we'll see how it ends up.
Yeah. All right. What else do you got, Melanie?
All right. So I do want to talk about food, because I find this absolutely fascinating. So this was an article about making better beans. Okay, so it was a total clickbait title, because I just had to see what that had to do. So this has to do with genomic engineering. And so the idea with this article was that if they could re-engineer soybeans back to a more original state, it would make them higher protein and more appealing or appetizing for people to use. So the whole idea was this wanting to cut down globally on animal products, so both meats and dairy. And so what could they do? And so the answer is, for those of you who maybe have tried vegan cheese or some other interesting soy-based products, some are really good. Some of them, I mean, it's never going to be a meat burger. It's still, so the argument is that if they follow through on different types of genetic engineering, that they could both make the soybeans more protein rich, which is somehow going to also make it taste better. This is where I got a little confused. And then there are different scientists who want to focus on a different end of genomic engineering to focus on having the soybeans or mung beans have a different mouthfeel that will make it feel more meat-like. So when you eat a mung or soybean burger, it tastes in your mouth or feels in your mouth like meat. I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean,
not that I don't enjoy a good veggie burger, but I don't eat a veggie burger thinking that it's going to taste like a hamburger. I eat a veggie burger to taste like a veggie burger.
Well, I'm gonna kind of come in and say I've tried the Impossible Whopper before from Burger King, and that was an experience.
I wasn't that brave because that just I
was gonna say, me and my dad, the first day it came out, we were like, gotta try it. It wasn't even the fact that we really wanted it. It was just the fact that it was something new and we had never had it before. So we were like, why not? And I mean,
and so the question is, did it just taste like a veggie burger or did it taste like a whole bunch of sawdust?
It tasted like a very, very dried out Whopper, in my opinion. That's what it tasted like to me. It was a very dried out Whopper. But other than that, it was okay.
I don't know. I just don't think that you're going to be able to make vegetable products feel and taste like meat products. They're just going to be different. So I was intrigued because not only was it better beans, but they were going at it from the idea of people who have allergies. And so could they, and particularly dairy allergies, and could they create things that tasted like dairy but didn't have the disastrous effects of what would happen if someone ate dairy. I can sort of get behind the dairy thing as opposed to the meat thing, but the rest, after they said that initially in the opening part of the article, they never talked about dairy again. They went on to talk about mouthfeel of mung bean burgers. So I don't know whether that was a problem in the construction of the article or what, but I still read the whole thing. So it ultimately got me to read the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, most articles will be clickbait, but I mean, at the same time, it's kind of interesting to even just kind of think about how they can do that. But I mean, engineering and like genetic engineering and everything has come such a long way.
That is
from what it started,
right?
You know, and the want and need for replacements besides meat at this point have been like skyrocketing at this point because of allergies and people not wanting to eat certain things and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and the questions of raising animals, is that contributing to genetic warming? Yes, it is, or genetic global warming, or is it not? Or land use. I mean, there's so many different things tied up in that.
Yeah, which is completely understandable, and it'll be interesting to try one of those supposed burgers at one point to see if it actually does do anything.
But I don't know that you'd actually say, hey, I'm going to go have a mung bean burger. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see in the next few years. Maybe it'll be
possibly. Well, when McDonald's brings out their mung bean burger, maybe I will go and try it. Maybe.
All right. So with that, I'm going to kind of talk about some Google and education things. So Google Meet for teachers can automatically transcribe lessons into Google Documents.
Wow.
How does that sound?
Interesting. So it's translating your voice as you're teaching into lessons, or taking your ideas and making them into a lesson plan?
So with Google's Meet feature, so their group, group chat sort of thing.
Okay.
Meant for more education, business side of things. Maybe some personal use, but not very many.
I would say a lot of people I know have moved away from that because
They usually went towards Zoom or,
Right.
well, like we use Discord sometimes here and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, people have kind of went more that direction. But with Google Meet, so businesses and specifically more towards teachers is what this transcribe thing is going for. Will take anything that you say and try to make it into notes the best it can. So not saying it's a perfect feature or anything, but it's supposed to help make notes faster. It's supposed to help, just help the students understand. So like if they weren't able to make it during the live recording or whatsoever, they have the entire transcript ready for them. So if they don't want to necessarily, or they don't have the time to read, or not time to read, but don't have time to watch the video, they don't have headphones or anything, they can do the same thing and read out the entire thing, or they could watch and read at the same time.
Okay, I took that, as you started out, to be a completely different direction. I thought it was talking about like collaborative teaching, and you're meeting with a whole bunch of teachers, and somehow it's magically coming out as a lesson plan. I'm thinking that is way too smart for just being able to use a transcription service. So that makes more sense as you're describing it. But then I'm thinking, wouldn't you have a whole bunch of because if it's an accurate transcription service, you're going to have everyone's filler words. And then I'm thinking, how much else is it picking up? If it's multiple people who are speaking, then you could hear all kinds of interesting things that will
show up in the document later.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see that being a bit problematic from perhaps a privacy sense, but it would certainly provide a more robust classroom experience.
I mean, I could see this being the thing to like, or I think they don't really talk about how the service works necessarily. All they really give is, here's this thing, let's have fun with it, and this is how it kind of works. But other than that, they really didn't say if they're able to edit any of the videos, if you're or the transcriptions or anything. They really didn't talk about that too much. But they said that they also have introduced a screencast app that's built into Chrome OS as a part of an update. And it lets the teachers record, trim, transcribe, and share on-screen lessons while giving students the opportunity to rewatch lessons from Google Drive and create their own videos with screen recording tools.
Okay, because that then brings up my other thought about that, which would be, for example, when inevitably at some point in the next 40 minutes, we will get horribly off topic.
Oh, yes.
Discussing something that is only vaguely related to technology. Very often that would
Good
happen.
evening, Madison patrons. The Madison Public Library is going to close in 10 minutes. Please make your final selections and bring them to the checkout desk at this time. Pick up all copies and printouts. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Margaret. Or, for example, something like that. You would want the ability to cut out the side conversation that you end up having with your class about which is the best ice cream flavor at a local ice cream shop, or, cutting in of the PA because the secretary is saying that somebody has to go down to the office or whatever. So I can see it then if there is an edit function where a teacher then can take their lesson and cut out I won't say boring, the extraneous bits, post it, and I could see that for parents, if they're trying to help their child, math comes to mind. Because then you've gotten the explanation that the teacher gave about doing derivatives in calculus because you haven't done that since you were in high school. So I could see that being helpful that way.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that at least at some point, this makes it easier for teachers and things to help their students. They also gave an example of what are they called? Board meetings, like board edification meetings. They can also live stream to YouTube now with Google Meetings. So you can have your small group of reporters and things in the Meet, as well as live streaming it to YouTube so that parents and stuff can watch, and it's not for only a select few amount of people. But I think a lot
I
of
can
people have
see
still
that.
kind of went to Zoom for stuff like that.
I mean, I think you want to expand people's access to information, so I could definitely see that from that perspective.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a little cool thing that they're trying to push along and get, more people into the education and trying to get teachers the right tools for that kind of stuff, especially in a day and age of electronic learning and things.
Oh, absolutely. So, I am going to pick another food thing because it's just fun. And then
today's food day, I guess.
It is food day. And so, well, I mean, it's food, but it's still technology. And I got to admit, I think I read this article all the way through twice just to try to understand. And partly it was purely a personal issue because I'm going to have to replace my refrigerator here in the next couple of years. And so it was an article about smart refrigerators. And so the Samsung's family refrigerator line that is a smart fridge, I was fascinated because apparently there's a TV update for the fridge part. And I didn't realize that there were TVs in fridges. So it was all about, this article was, the author was writing about how the upgrade in the Samsung TV or Samsung TV Plus is now supported by the family fridge line. And so you can, instead of having to cast from your Samsung TV to your refrigerator, you can actually use the tablet in the refrigerator to watch a whole bunch of different television shows. I'm like, wow, how that really work? And then I'm thinking, why am I even thinking about this? Because my refrigerator wouldn't be anywhere that I would be positioned to watch television anyway. So what is this? But so on a personal note, that got dropped. But I was also interested in the fact that there is an art function that you can use an art function on the tablet, and that's part of this upgrade. So you can have different art things. So I mean, it's truly art on your fridge, and so you use this app, and so it can like the photo in the article was I'd say a more abstract art, but I'm assuming that if you get into the app that you would be able to, have photos or pictures of your kids' art. And how cool would it be to have rotating kid art on your refrigerator? And admittedly, then they're going on, well, the food identification has been updated. I'm thinking, I don't want my refrigerator to tell me what I should make with the gherkins and whatever other random condiments are in my refrigerator. I don't need it to tell me that. I just want it to be there. So I think I was interested in the art, but lost on the updated food recognition abilities. So I think that's my other food article. I may have something that's not food related, but these were my favorites.
Well, I know like the Samsung fridges or like a lot of your smart fridges now have, like, it will take a photo of your fridge so that you can see what you need to go out and buy and how much space you have left and all this.
Well, and apparently this one also suggests recipes. And I'm thinking, because like a lot of people have weird stuff, leftover things in their fridge. So, if I have gherkins and like a piece of Gouda cheese and, chocolate milk and a green bell pepper, I mean, I don't want all of those things to be together in one item. So, just don't tell me what to do with them. I'll eat it on my own. Thank you.
Unless it says error, we cannot find recipes for the things you have in your fridge.
Well, okay, that would be kind of funny, but.
So, I mean, I think that's cool. I mean, fridges, there's even like drawing apps on fridges now too. So like your kids can even just make fridge art on the fridge.
Well, it's important because how else are you going to share your accomplishments if you don't put it on your refrigerator?
Well, exactly. Maybe it will now be, instead of like things magnetized onto the fridge, it's going to be each and every like award and everything's going to be a digital picture going across your smart fridge instead.
Oh, now that would be kind of cool.
So then, I mean, depending on how many pictures it goes through, you could just have them infinitely keep going.
Right,
for
you could
every
like
award that you have.
standing in front of your fridge forever.
Yeah, you'll be like, man, what awards have these kids won? And you'll be like, all right, I'm going to sit here for 2 hours just looking at the smart fridge.
Oh, absolutely.
As a slideshow plays.
Oh, look, we had a comment. That would be what you find on my fridge. Aw, well, thank you, Sean. We had someone comment, which is especially great since I think neither one of us said,
No,
please feel free
we have
to
not.
put comments and questions in the chat.
Yes. Feel free to comment so we can either
Comment
talk
on
about,
your comment.
Yes, comment on your comment or help you with tech issues that you may or may not have in your household and things. As long as they're tech related. They have to be tech related to work. All right. Let's see. From my list of things. So I know last time I've been talking a lot about the right to repair laws for electronic devices and all this kind of stuff. So recently, New York has actually passed the law for the right to repair. So now every phone or phone manufacturer that is selling in the state of New York has to be able to supply replacement parts for small repair shops to purchase and use to repair the phone, and also personal at-home repair kits to fix the phone at home and or at small repair shops, instead of sending it back to the manufacturer to get it fixed or to a certified shop to go get it worked on.
That is fascinating. So since we already mentioned the EU earlier,
with the Type-C and everything.
Yes. So how in the world is Apple going to deal with that?
Well, I did talk about Apple and pricing with replacement parts earlier. I think in a few streams ago, I think I talked about it.
Well, it's always worth repeating.
Yeah, about 2 streams ago, I think I talked about this. So Apple will give you the part for what the store that repairs it or the Apple store pays for it, or what the typical service would be at an Apple store.
Okay.
So you would pay the $150 to get a new screen. But if you send that screen back, you're supposed to get about a 50% rebate on what you paid for it. So it's not horrible.
So if you replace the screen yourself, it ends up being like $75 sort of
About
if you send it back.
But they would still prefer that you let an Apple certified tech work on it. Because then you don't risk your phone getting destroyed or anything like that.
I am interested in right to repair. I find that fascinating. I can see it. I really wonder how this is going to affect between the EU and right to repair, how that's going to affect Apple's business model.
Well, yeah. And like there's been phones that actually come out that you can actually interchange parts by just taking the back plate off of it. So like remember like the older Samsungs that you could just take the back off of and replace the battery if you need.
Yes,
or put an
I've
SD
replaced
card
the
in
battery,
for, like extra storage and everything.
Did that too.
Yes, there are actually phones that you can take apart and take the phone processor out and swap it with another one. There's a lot of places that have been slowly starting to go to the customizable phones and tablets and like electronics and stuff.
Well,
Good evening, Madison patrons. The library is now closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Yes, so I think it's going to be a very, very nice thing to see right to repair coming in. Because I prefer to fix my own stuff. I don't really like techs putting their hands on my stuff because I feel like they do and do not try to just break it themselves sometimes.
Oh, but it looks like Sean made another comment. EU has been pushing Apple for a while to adopt universal standards. Yes, it looks like, but one of the things I had said that Apple had filed in court in 2021 to try to bring an injunction against that. So I just think it's going to be interesting for Apple. But as one of the rare people who doesn't, well, other than apparently an old and now valuable iPod, that is my only Apple device.
Well, it's also valuable if you have a specific game on it, which is called Flappy Bird.
Well, I do not, because I just use it for music, which I don't think anybody does anymore. But
yeah, but I mean, other than that, I think it'll be interesting to see all this kind of play out, because Apple's been a stickler for not having you touch their devices at all for years. So
I think since almost the very beginning.
They prefer you take it to an Apple tech or an Apple store to get it fixed, or a certified shop to get it fixed. But again, I'm happy to see the right to repair coming to light now for every state, hopefully.
All right. Is it my turn again?
Yes, it is your turn. If you want to talk
Okay.
about food, feel free to.
Oh, well, I mean, I was waiting for you to talk about Taco Bell, so I'm going to skip that one.
Now, see, I don't think I've seen the Taco Bell one, so now I'm intrigued that you said Taco Bell.
Because it came up 2 different places.
Okay.
That Tuesday, Taco Bell opened its brand new 2-story restaurant in Minnesota called Defy. And so it is
Okay.
supposed to be more mobile and third-party delivery friendly because it is a 2-minute drive-through experience because your food is coming down through chutes
So like
to
at a
the
bank?
car. I think so, because then it begs the question that I think was discussed a couple months ago about like delivery, not droids, little planes delivering your food. And so then are your tacos going to, like in burritos, are they going to be all squishy and the insides have come out because it got jammed up in some kind of chute as it was coming down? I mean,
or it gets crushed when it lands at the bottom if
Right.
it's not padded or anything.
So, I mean, I find this fascinating because I think like CNN carried it and a couple major news. Thank you, Sean. Tacos delivered by drones.
I mean, I talked about that in the last stream,
but
just a little bit.
But my question is your food going to get all mushy and squishy as it comes down? Because they specifically said coming down tubes from the second floor. So I don't know. But since you generally mentioned Taco Bell, I was trying to be a good team player and make sure that I had researched whatever new Taco Bell development had happened since the last time you did Talking.
Because I think the last time we talked about it, it was Taco Bell started to do that subscription service for like, what was it, like $5 or $6 a month. You would get 1 free taco a day for like every day of the month if you wanted. And it was only like a soft taco and or like a hard taco, I think, or hard shell taco. But that was about it, I think.
I don't know, but I at least have mentioned tacos. So it looks like Sean has put more into our stream, which included back to the Apple topic, that Apple almost went under in the 80s because of Apple clones. So that's why they are a stickler about hardware and keep it under Apple only. I guess I see that. Oh, and then also about tacos. Tacos are already squishy. Yes, but my statement to that is, do you want your squishy taco insides outside of your taco that you have to scrape off the paper? And don't you just want it inside the taco shell? And on that note, Charley's going to bring
I'm gonna reel it a little bit.
You're gonna reel it back in and bring it back to a higher intellectual level than squishy tacos.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Porsche is acquiring German e-bike company. I'm gonna butcher this horribly, I guarantee it. Fazua.
Well, it sounds good.
I think. I don't know.
And if it's not, it still sounds impressive.
I see someone rubbing their eyes back there, so I'm guaranteeing that I probably said it completely wrong.
Oh, I thought it was because we're putting them to sleep.
Well, that too, probably.
No, I guess they're still awake, so
yeah,
we're okay.
So, in its latest micromobility purchase. So, this means that Porsche has bought basically an e-bike company and is making Porsche e-bikes now.
What is the purpose of having a Porsche e-bike? That is where that is my immediate thought.
To have a Porsche e-bike because everyone, at least at one point, wants a Porsche. And status, yes.
Yeah, but there are plenty of other reputable e-bike manufacturers. Why do you need it just to say Porsche on it? Well, clearly I won't be buying a Porsche e-bike.
Yes, but so...
Oh.
I mean, at this point, this is...
Well, apparently our commenter in the stream has also questioned whether you just need the status of having a Porsche e-bike. Yeah. Well, clearly I'm not their demographic, so...
Well, this is also not the first time Porsche has bought an e-bike company. They also bought a majority stake in Croatian e-bike group or company. Gray pea, pronounced like the fruit, late last year, supposedly. So this is not the first time Porsche has bought an e-bike company.
Well, I suppose if you're looking at it since bike culture is so much greater in Europe,
Mhm.
I could see where that could be a place that you want to get a market stake in.
Mhm.
Certainly, as there's a global movement away from fossil fuels, and as we hit $5 a gallon, I could see that. I could see this being maybe a long-term diversification of their company. All right, I will take it from that end. If that's their second e-bike company,
Yeah.
then perhaps it's more of a long-term business model.
Mhm.
All right. I still don't want one, but okay. Is it my turn now?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is your turn.
Okay. So, near and dear to my heart is batteries, because it seems like my batteries are always dying. So, apparently, according to the American Chemical Society, there is work being done to improve the ability of lithium batteries to function in extreme cold. So, the idea is they are replacing their original smooth graphite anode in the lithium ion battery with a bumpy carbon based material. And I love the fact that they actually use the word bumpy, because I feel like they should have had like some greater scientific word. And so apparently the bumpiness of it makes it easier to charge the battery. And then when it's being used, it holds on to more of its charge. So it's not just dying in the extreme cold. And this is extreme cold, like way, way, way below freezing. So this is helping places, particularly they were looking at it relative to electric cars in places that got very cold. So it means that electric cars have a much greater possibility of adoption. You don't have to be in kind of a more temperate or even a warmer climate. So I was kind of interested, and the fact that they just called them bumpy batteries. So I just found it interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, batteries are batteries. I mean, leaving them through hot and cold has never been a great thing, even for your phone batteries, your laptop batteries, anything. I mean, we can say much because of our walkie-talkies.
Wow.
And we also let them just charge a little bit too long. They all expand. They all, at some point they will blow up and, bloat themselves so that you can barely use them anymore. Or the battery will just consistently die all the time.
But I guess I never really thought about it that, for example, if you lived in Alaska, you probably wouldn't want an electric car because it spends so much of the year being very cold that you could charge your car and have the charge leave real quickly. And, it never really occurred to me. Oh, we got another comment from Sean that he and Rod saw a Rivian truck in the village tonight. Rivian, aren't they pretty cars? My parents' neighbors have a Rivian truck, and we just like looking at it because it's just pretty. So, I mean, that means that makes electric cars just so much more viable if they're able to use it in more extreme weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't talk about food.
Not this time.
No, I did not.
Okay, if we're really gonna hit on the Cybertruck right now, I see the chat over there. Not as ugly as the Cybertruck. I just like the sharp edges of the Cybertruck. I don't know why. I would never own one, but I like to look at them because it's funny to see how the concept was and the wheels on the concept, and then they just kind of
I don't know.
Especially with the bulletproof glass that they stated that they had, and then the glass shattered right as they tossed the metal ball on it. It's just funny to me.
I just think that the Rivians are nice. Oh, it looks like something out of Tron from the 80s.
Yeah.
The Rivian trucks?
No, the Cybertruck.
Oh, the Cybertruck. Okay, because I was going to say Rivian does not look like Tron.
No.
Okay.
All right, let's see. What else do I have? So recently, Apple has done their huge conference about tech things and all that kind of stuff. And they also announced the release of iOS 16, which is supposed to come out sometime later this fall. Yes, I can agree with Sean back there. But they're also adding support for Nintendo Switch controllers of all kinds. So Joy-Cons, and Pro controllers and things like that. That's the only reason why I see iOS 16 being very cool for me. But other than that, that's really all I got out of this iOS article was you can now use Switch controllers on iOS devices, which they've already have done the PlayStation controllers and Xbox controllers for.
So really, they needed to just round out all of their platforms.
Yes.
Okay.
This is basically all it is.
All right.
Just a slight little news article about for people that do play mobile games and things like that, that it is coming if that's the only controller you have, so you don't have to go out and buy Xbox or PlayStation controller just for mobile gaming anymore.
I will see your iPhone related article and add you an iPhone related because apparently you can, with your iPhone, either now or very shortly, have a medication tracking app. So it is supposed to help remind you to take your medication. So the idea was that you input the information from the medicines you were taking and I guess maybe when you were supposed to have it. And this app is supposed to let you know when you're supposed to take it. Now, ideally, you're supposed to, I think, then track in your app that you've taken it. You may or may not be able to send this information back to your physician. And they were talking about this not so much in the sense that the app itself that is in the Apple Store is really that great per se, but the fact that Apple is getting into this area of trying to help people take their medications is quite interesting. So, I mean, I was fascinated. It never really occurred to me that huge amounts of money are spent healthcare cost-wise for people not regularly taking prescribed medication. So, I mean, for how attached we all are to our phones, if that helps, you know, even a few people make sure that they take things when they're supposed to, seems like a good idea.
Mm-hmm. I know I heard another thing about recent Apple things they're talking about with like iOS 16 is the fact that you can delete or remove messages in messaging apps now.
Oh.
Or at least once iOS 16 comes out, which is going to be an interesting little feature.
I thought they lived forever.
Not anymore from what Apple wants to do.
Okay.
So,
messages is also an option in that.
What is it?
You can edit messages that you have already sent.
That's right. So basically, we're turning messaging into actually like a legit Discord at this point. It's just a iOS version of Discord.
That is interesting in the sense that
oh yes, I forgot about. I was just about to talk about that too. So.
Oh yes, and Morgan did mention something. So we are glad to have Morgan on our back, doing all our video work today.
Come on, Morgan, say hi. You didn't say hi.
Well, she just commented.
That's true. But still, it's still nice to at least have someone say hi and not just a disembodied voice in the background. Like Colt used to be.
Well, yes.
Yes. I mean, at this point, what can we do? But yes, so someone commented that you can play Xbox games on your Samsung Smart TVs now without any consoles at all.
Is that because you don't want to have more stuff around your TV?
Not necessarily. So the whole thing is Xbox is currently working on a cloud streaming service that you can play video games without having a console at all. So with, the recent peak in people trying to buy, the newest, latest, greatest consoles and not being able to because of chip shortages and all that crazy cool stuff, TVs have actually become a little bit more accessible than consoles and computer parts and things. Okay. So it's a little bit more of a more people have TVs than they do consoles. And also Sean did say it's a Steam competition as well, right? Yeah, because I think Steam has like an overcloud system as well. PlayStation is a little bit slow. They've slowly been trying to incorporate one, but not necessarily completely cloud yet. I know they're currently working on something right now. I mean, I think it's an interesting market to jump into now, especially with cloud stuff. But I think the Steam one, you have to have a PC on I'm pretty sure, for it to share between people. I think. Because I know, like, if I'm playing on here, but my computer at home is on, I can stream stuff that I have installed on my computer at home and play it here. But it will also depend on internet connections and things. So, like, if it's not stable here at the library or anything,
Well, I hope our internet connection
I would hope so.
here at
But
the library.
you know, if you don't have internet at all, then it doesn't really work for you.
Well, okay, yeah.
As most things would anymore.
Yes.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. I know Xbox has been pretty cool about trying to get everyone to play. And anyone, I mean, the adaptive controller for people that don't have the greatest use of a controller and all that kind of stuff too. So it's kind of cool to see they're trying to get everyone to play no matter what kind of hardware they have.
All right. Well, that sounds kind of cool. So thinking of kind of getting into new markets. So it is not official yet, but speculation has been in a couple major newspapers. They are speculating that Netflix may be trying to buy Roku here shortly. So that is getting all kinds of people excited. You know, is that actually a good deal for Netflix? Is it a good deal for Roku? It was interesting that they were commenting on if Netflix bought Roku, that it kind of brings some major players and people who worked originally in Netflix that went to Roku back into Netflix. So that's kind of interesting that Roku could help Netflix with some of its advertising model and advertising expertise and things like that. So I don't know. It will be interesting to see if that goes forward, how that would change both Roku and Netflix. I don't know.
Now, if that happens, would they change the name of the Roku stick to like the Netflix stick or something? To make it kind of like the Amazon Fire Stick?
I would think so. But then what they're saying is that the article had mentioned that wasn't really a good deal for Roku, because what made Roku popular was that it was platform agnostic. And then if it went to Netflix, then that would negate that. So I don't know. But I guess if Netflix is trying to compete with something like Amazon and its Fire Stick, then it would make sense. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yes, it would be very interesting to see, because I know Roku is, I think, for the most part, the most used streaming stick that I can think of, next to the Fire Stick, and then whichever other sticks there are out there for streaming, because I don't think Chromecast is up there very high.
I don't know.
Even then, I'm still kind of like, it'll be interesting to see if they do go through with buying Roku, because then it would just kind of flip the market around, I think.
I mean, it will be interesting, because I could see it backfiring for Netflix and having people leave Roku and go to something like an Amazon Fire Stick instead. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. We have not done any shameless self-promotion, so we probably should do a little bit of that, and then we'll have you finish up with an intellectual and uplifting story.
Hopefully and possibly.
Well, we're going to hope so. And I'm giving you a couple of minutes to find some fantastic way to end our stream this evening. So hopefully you might have noticed, if you've been to our website in the past couple hours, that we do have a new program. We always decide them last minute, but Miss Wendy and I will be at Rainbow Farms this Saturday at 10:30 doing stories while you pick. Rainbow Farms just opened their You Pick Strawberries today, and so we will be there at 10:30 on Saturday sharing strawberry stories. So if you and your family are coming out to pick strawberries, we'd love to see you stop by, listen to a story either before or after you pick. And we'll be there off and on Saturdays through the rest of the summer as they have different You Pick fields open up. So love to see you on Saturday. While Charley's finding an awesome article, I should mention that Charley's Twitch hour has moved from Thursday afternoons during the school year to Monday afternoons at 1:30. So his first for the season should be this coming Monday, I think. Yes. So he'll be playing awesome games on Twitch. 6 p.m. So, well, a little bit less than a week from now at 6 p.m. on Thursday, June 16th, we will be having a ribbon cutting for Stan the Tech Van. He's getting his special ribbon cutting at the Village Outdoor Market. So we'd love to see you out supporting Stan the Tech Van. So that is something super awesome that is coming up. If you are participating in the library's summer challenge, we finally got all our prizes out. So we have a whole bunch of gift certificates to wineries and restaurants and salons and all kinds of other things. So if you were thinking, gee, I don't think I really want to try to win some sidewalk chalk, aren't they going to get anything else? The answer is yes. It is out. So please stop in the building, see what we have. And we've also added to our golden tickets. So we have a couple different ticket options to Rabbit Run, tickets to the Cleveland Aquarium, a spa package, tickets to Holden Arboretum. So if you haven't signed up for Summer Challenge, there's still plenty of time. For every 2 books that you check out, you get a raffle ticket. If you check out 10 things at a time, you get a golden ticket. So I feel like that's a decent amount of shameless self-promotion.
Yes.
So I'll turn it back over to you.
I mean, not like we're kind of going into shameless self-promotion with a lot of Xbox stuff tonight. But
Okay.
So Xbox has now proposed a Project Moorcroft, which will bring early game demos to Xbox Game Pass. So if you own a subscription to Xbox Game Pass, so like with E3 and PAX is like some of the bigger names of video game conferences and things in a long time, we noticed that you cannot necessarily go out and necessarily go play these game demos from all these kinds of conferences and things right now, as they're still not doing in-person things currently. This is supposed to bring the comfort of playing demos from like small little developers to big developers in a bigger light to your front doorstep or onto your console and or TV, which we talked about earlier. So this is to mainly try to get the game demos in the hands of people that don't necessarily go to those kinds of conferences and things to go check out the newest, latest, and greatest games. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And hello, Morgan. I see you in the chat.
Oh, I lost my mic. Don't worry about
Again.
it.
I mean, particularly because it's so expensive to travel.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that's a fabulous way, because who's going to have the money or the time to be able to travel, but you still want to play the games. So I feel like that's a good thing.
Yeah, so I feel like that was a little bit nice, because then instead of trying to pay for the hundreds of dollars to travel all the way out to LA to go see E3, or I think it's New York for PAX and things, you don't have to necessarily pay all the travel money to get out there. You can just sit at home, wait for those demos to pop up when the person at the conference says, here's the demo right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can just easily do that and just try a game that you may find that you like and buy it later, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's a great economic model for where we are currently. That is very cool.
All right. Do you think you want to end off on something of food or something else related?
No, I've
to
run
something?
out of food, but we could end.
Oh, man.
I know, right? But we could end on Mars.
All right, let's end off on Mars.
So the Ingenuity, so the Mars helicopter apparently needs a patch. So over the, I guess, Mars winter, Ingenuity hasn't been running as much. So like with some our vehicles, and when you don't run them very much, things start to not work. So one of its sensors is no longer sensing the way it should. Unfortunately, it's one that's needed for takeoff and landing. So they have found a patch that they can send down to fool the computer into thinking its broken sensor is working by using another sensor. What I found fascinating is that the NASA scientists anticipated that this might happen, so it built in the ability to send this patch if it happened, so it laid all the groundwork for it. And so I guess they're going to be doing that in the next, I think, week or so to send this patch, so then Ingenuity can go back to flying around and doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really cool. I'm like, wow, way to think ahead, NASA, to make sure that it was all going to be ready to go. And I guess I never really thought about it because it's sort of also tied back to some of the discussion about batteries and that we had earlier about not doing well in the extreme cold. And so what they're saying is that because they shut it down for periods of time, that they anticipated bits of Ingenuity weren't going to work. And fortunately or unfortunately, it's going the way they thought. So I think that's cool because I love the Mars videos and all that kind of stuff. So good luck, Ingenuity. I hope your patch works.
So is that get to see more cool pictures?
Oh, I hope so.
Oh yeah. And I think that's about it I have for articles. So
okay.
If you want to either does Morgan have an article? No. Morgan doesn't like to speak to people, or especially over a stream that she can't really talk back to people. So I think that kind of makes sense.
Well, so I'm trying to think. So I had two more that I had also not having to do with food, but Spotify. And I maybe this is the right one to end on because it sort of relates back to libraries a little bit. So Spotify was doing their annual revenue report for prospective purchasers and things like that. So I was talking about how it was how podcasts were the area that they were planning to use to grow most of their upcoming revenue. And so then later in the article, it commented about how, they'd had that maybe that wasn't quite the way that they were going to completely generate more revenue because they had the little flap with Joe Rogan a few months ago, and that had been kind of a PR nightmare. So instead in addition, they had announced that they were also going to be going the audiobook route. And so that in conjunction with podcasts, audiobooks were going to be the way that Spotify would gain a larger revenue over the next coming years. And that was the area that they expected to grow almost larger than podcasts. And thank you, Sean, for letting everybody know in the chat that our Talking Tech podcast is on Spotify, so as well as other places that you can get podcasts. So if you didn't by any chance manage to listen to us in live time, you can always catch us as a podcast later. So I guess I was kind of interested because it was listing other companies like Audible that was purchased by Amazon, that the audiobooks was a growing source of revenue for these companies. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Everyone got to hear me sneeze now. And so I thought it was kind of interesting because certainly libraries for many years have always touted audiobooks as a way to hear stories as opposed to reading them. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I like audiobooks being in libraries, and I want people to use the library as opposed to paying for it on a service. So I don't know.
I mean, we do have apps and things that do the same thing as Spotify does.
We do, because I think that's time for shameless self-promotion of Libby, which is our main ebook, e-audio, and magazines and some music, so you can listen to ebooks that way. I know a lot of people also listen to ebooks on Hoopla. So that is another app that you get as being a Madison Public Library card holder. And just because we're mentioning streaming services that we have, if you wanted to listen to music, you can listen through the Freegal app. So as we end on shameless self-promotion, it is now 8 o'clock, so I will turn it over to Charlie to wrap us up.
Well, for the most part, as long as you are watching this stream right now on anywhere, which is Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and I think YouTube at this point, you can hit that subscribe button down at the bottom to follow us for any more videos and things that we do. Thus, like my Talking Tech. We are doing Talking Tech. I was going to do Twitch Hour and things. But you can also follow us on Instagram. You can also follow us on Pinterest. You can also follow us on all these other social media sites that we are a part of, and you can find us the next time. So, I am Charlie, and this is where we sign off.